Hi, I'm Kaz Maslanka, if anyone doesn't know. I was going to talk a little bit about these polyaesthetic mapping maps. So I should have given you access to be able to print out these maps. So basically there's four things to print out, and you can easily pair them up. You'll notice directions on them and up and down, upper and lower actually. So you'll see these axis is intrinsic, extrinsic, and here's extrinsic and intrinsic. So they go together like this. And then what I do is I laminate them together in a laminate. And then here's the other ones for east and west. So we have east and west, and we have the north and south. I laminate both of those together, and then if you look on these, there is a little white line on one of them, and that's where you will cut with some scissors after you laminate them or glue them together, however you want to do that. And then when you'll see there's one on this side and there's one on this one, so they fit together and you get an arrangement like this. So this represents the polyaesthetic mapping cube, and so we can see basically what we've got is the three axes of the system. So on one of the axes, we'll just talk about the system is basically like 8 octets, 8 little cubes. Each of the cubes represent a muse. So a muse inspires the aesthetics in that octant. So here we have the analyzation and sensing. So one of the axes is between the aesthetics of analyzation and the aesthetics of direct sensory experience. So I always set it up with the directions. However, I'm kind of into, I grew up on a grid, so I'm really sensitive to directions. So right now, currently, that's west. So I have my mapping system so that we have west. In west is direct sensory experience. So we're talking about the aesthetics of direct sensory experience, real time, where you get it. You don't have to think about it. You look at something, it's beautiful, it's ugly. The aesthetics is coming off of the object. You're sensing it. The other end of the axis is the aesthetics of analyzation and thinking. This is where the aesthetics doesn't come off of the object sensory-wise. What it does is the aesthetics is what the object points to. For instance, E is equal to mc squared. So it's like, oh, E is equal to mc squared. Wow, energy is equal to mass times the speed. Wow, what a fantastic concept. These aesthetics are for more conceptual as opposed to sensory. Then we have the aesthetics of function between intrinsic function. I have here on the map, the main function is intrinsic to the surface of something inside the mind. And in extrinsic is in the surface of something outside the mind, really more of a utilitarian idea. A light bulb, a wrench, a screwdriver, a rocket ship, anything could be extrinsic, have an extrinsic function. And it even goes into commercial art as well. So that could also be part of that. So, so you have a gradient. In all of these cases, you have a gradient, so you can map something in between, because almost all aesthetic expressions are a blend of many of these things. So, and then we have the final axis is the just to get back to intrinsic function for a second. An example of that would be a spiritual poem. An abstract expressionist painting is a perfect example. It doesn't do anything. It operates solely inside. And then the final axis is between an axis of effort between physical effort and mental effort. So physical effort is craftsmanship. An artist has to practice their painting. A musician has to practice playing their instrument, whatever that might be. There's an interface with the body, and so the aesthetics of craftsmanship would be in the realm in the lower part of that axis, and then mental effort is design, the prowess of design. And which obviously functions in the mind. So these three axes basically divide this cube into 8 octants. Each octant is the domain of a muse. Each muse is, the names are on here: Monica Wild, Coco Complexia, Hypatia Cog, Brutacog, Gaia Usense, Fortuna Arousa, Rosie B. Bright, and Polytechnica. So let's look at some of these octants. So let's just talk about the aesthetics of art. Let's talk about, there's lots of things that are debatable as art, but let's talk about what's not debatable. Those things that we don't debate that it is art. A Rembrandt painting, Michelangelo's work as well. These things we don't debate. Okay, all of those will fall in the realm of Monica Wild. Monica Wild, the name comes from mono, solamente, by yourself, and wild, Oscar Wilde, art for art's sake. So this octant is direct sensory experience, intrinsic function, and physical craftsmanship. The things that we don't debate, whether they're art, those land in that octant. So we know that it has an affinity to what we all agree is art. Now there are things that are debatable, like I mentioned. Photography is a great example. A lot of people want to call themselves a fine art photographer, which is kind of an oxymoron. But I can get into that with you later if you wish. And the main reason is photography has no physical craftsmanship. It's in the area of Coco Complexia. I want to stress here, we're not talking about value judgments. I'm not elevating art and pushing these other forms of aesthetics down. That's not what this is about. This is about categorization. Aesthetics is about the categories of art. Art is not a value judgment. There's many times when you hear someone say, "Oh, that's not art." Well, it is art. It's just not very good art. If you want to use art as a value judgment, that presupposes there's no such thing as bad art, and we know there is. So consequently, direct sensory experience, intrinsic function, physical craftsmanship. This is the realm of art, Monica Wild's world. If we want to jump opposite in the cube over into this octant, we have the world of Poly. The muse's name is Polytechnica. We have extrinsic function, design, and analyzation, the aesthetics of analyzation and thinking. This is the world of engineering and technology, applied science, applied mathematics. If we were to get into pure mathematics, this would push us over into the realm of where intrinsic function. So, because pure mathematics is, its beauty is intrinsic. So that will put us into the Muse Hypatia cog coming from the word cognitive. And then the Muse right below is Bruta cog, which is the physical manifestations of this. Hypatia cog, again, is design, mental effort, intrinsic function, has no utilitarian value, and the aesthetics of analyzation and thinking. So that's the world of Hypatia cog. Pure mathematical expressions would land in that area. Of course, applied mathematical expressions get forced over into Polytechnica's world. So this cube, you can map the entire spectrum of aesthetics. Anything from pornography to the Ponzi scheme can be mapped into this. These other muses we have, we talked about Coco Complexia, Coco coming from Coco Chanel, design, and Gaia Usense is the aesthetics of extrinsic function, sensory, and design, mental effort. An example of that would be maybe getting involved in library science. Interior design really would be even a better example of that. So you can do that in all of these. So these muses all have different personalities, and we see those in society all the time. Live a lot in the in between applied science and fine art. When I'm in the fine art world, I hear the voice of Monica Wilde all the time. You can see that Monica Wilde is just very adamant about what is art, and painters live in the realm of Monica Wilde. And we look at conceptual art, which was prominent in the 1960s, popular in the 1970s. It was very debatable as art. It lands in Hypatia Cog's world, not in Monica Wilde's world. So we see painters trying to use the criteria of painting to judge conceptual art. It doesn't work because they're incompatible, and vice versa. And all of these muses are very adamant about their aesthetics. We can see where Polytechnica may come, jump into an argument about function, that you have to have a utilitarian function to be of any value, and the utilitarian function is more valuable than art. And an example would be when I was designing my bathroom, I found a piece of marble that looked like a Chinese painting. It's gorgeous, and I thought I think I'll make the sinks a little bit smaller than usual so that we can see more of this beautiful marble. Well, I'm glad that I didn't, because I'm so used to the marble now that I have to stop and think about it and look at it for me to appreciate its beauty. But I'm constantly appreciating the functional value of the sink every day when I use it. So this is an example where Polytechnica would remind us that the utilitarian objects are more valuable than art. then of course Monica Wilde would come back and say that's nonsense, that art is what drives the world and what puts communities and cultures together, and all of these, can be debated, and all of these muses, you'll find them inspiring people in debates. I've got some information on these muses, and I've got a PowerPoint that I used in some of my lectures on the polyaesthetic mapping and the muses. I'll do my best to share those with everybody. So I guess that'll do it. Thanks.